Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. I always want to remind you that the most important thing of life you already have within you. It's the conscious awareness of the God Spirit at the very center of your being. And when you know this, you know truly the understanding of life, not just for within yourself, but also how you proceed in bringing heaven to earth. Just one little announcement for this afternoon, and that is that this evening we have our What is Light Body from 6 to 7:30, and I very much invite you to join us. I think you'll find it to be enormously expanding and quite helpful. Let's begin today. My dear friends, one of the wonderful qualities that we are developing among the members of Now Creations is the trust that we have in our conversations, in our study groups, and weekend enrichment sessions. It's a wonderful tribute to our members that we feel comfortable to share our innermost ideas and feelings with others. Ideas and feelings that we know are going to be received and respected by others, and ideas and feelings that perhaps we have even been reluctant to share with our family and friends. This development of trust was quite evident in a recent discussion we had in one of our study groups, although it is now a general characteristic of all of our study groups. The topic of the discussion was getting our affairs in order. Getting our affairs in order. It was so interesting and so helpful, and I want to enlarge upon it in today's teaching entitled, My Bags Are Packed. My bags are packed. I will begin with a few general comments about getting your affairs in order, touch upon philanthropy, and then spend the bulk of the teaching addressing what it really means to get your affairs in order. I think this teaching will be quite instructive, informative, and fun, and I trust that it'll be very helpful in getting your affairs in order. Let's begin. The discussion we had began by someone raising the very interesting notion of getting our affairs in order as a practical consideration before passing, and especially as a service to those who will have to take care of the arrangements upon our passing. You know many of the affairs that you need to consider. Do you have a will? Does someone know where it is? Who's the executor? Do you have a power of attorney for healthcare, for finances? Have you made funeral arrangements? Do you have investments? Where? Do you have bank accounts? Where? Do you have property? If so, where are the deeds? Do you have a car? If so, where is the title? If so, where are the keys? And speaking of keys, does someone have a key to your home or to your condo or apartment? Well, the list goes on and on. I am very familiar with the list because I had just spent the month of January doing precisely this, making arrangements for myself personally and making arrangements for Now Creations. Well, then the conversation turned to philanthropy. There was a very good general discussion on what we might want to leave family members and what one would give to philanthropy, to organizations that work for the betterment of society. I personally had several comments to make in this regard, and I will, but with this one provision. I would never try to tell you what to do with your assets. I would never try to tell you. You're the only one who knows what you should do. Let me repeat this. I would never try to tell you what to do with your assets. You're the one You're the one that knows what you have to do. So with this provision clearly in mind, I did make the following comments about philanthropic giving. First, and again, I say this very gingerly, it is very tempting not to even consider philanthropic giving and thus simply give your assets to family members because, well, that just seems like the acceptable thing to do. I make this comment because as I focus on my decisions last month, I made the decision to donate the bulk of my assets to spiritual organizations rather than to family members who really are doing quite well for themselves and they really don't need the finances. I made this decision because I know that there are many organizations who really do good, but are often struggling for funds and they need assistance. I further reflected that I decided to leave the bulk of my assets and whatever might be left over from the account of now creations to spiritual organizations that have served now creations and continue to do good spiritual work. There are 4 of such organizations that serve now creations. The first one is the Foundation of Inner Peace. The Foundation of Inner Peace, which publishes A Course in Miracles. I thought to myself, how many study groups have we had and still have concerning the Course in Miracles? I personally know that this organization needs financial assistance, which I personally recently have contributed to. The Foundation of Inner Peace. The second was the Self-Realization Fellowship of Paramahansa Yogananda, author of The Autobiography of a Yogi. Every morning, for the past 30-some years, I do the energization exercises of Paramahansa Yogananda. And what a wonderful teacher he has been to me and to so many members of Now Creations. He is the one who has given us the phrase, the teachings of God are ever fresh, ever new. How many times have we resorted to those words and to the teachings, ever fresh, ever new? Thirdly, the Monroe Institute. Not only have we continued to use Bob Monroe's book, The Ultimate Journey, over the years, but even now, we are presently using it. And many of you have said what a great teaching it has been for you. And in fact, it was the discussion from The Ultimate Journey that generated the topic of today's teaching. And fourth, the Center of Spiritual Awareness, the Center of Spiritual Awareness. This organization was founded by Roy Eugene Davis, a disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. We have distributed books by Roy Eugene Davis on several occasions, and I know that many of you receive the Truth Journal booklet regularly. What a bright light Roy Eugene Davis has been, and what a great organization he has spawned. There are many, many other organizations that are worthy of philanthropic giving. I encourage you to assist them, but I feel that it's very important not to forget the spiritual organizations that have raised the qualities of now creation and the qualities of earth-like living. Again, you know what's best I'm certainly not here to try to tell you what to do. I'm simply making some suggestions for alternative giving that might be helpful. Let's set that aside. Well, as interesting as was our discussion up to this point, someone then brought up the idea not to have things or not to leave things undone. Well, we clearly understand the third dimensional notion of not leaving things undone, from doing things for yourself personally or for others. This idea of not leaving things undone, not leaving things undone, really spoke to me. In fact, it spoke to me in such a way that it will now comprise the remainder of today's teaching. I will suggest to you the following things that you really do not want to leave undone, things that will really help you to really have your bags packed. Again, you might want to take some notes. First and foremost, while it is important for you and helpful to others to get your affairs in order and perhaps to do some philanthropic giving, the larger question is, have you put yourself in order? Have you put yourself in order yet? It's a really good question. Have you put yourself in order yet? And what is even more important is not just that you have put yourself in order for your passing, but rather, have you put yourself in order? Have you put yourself in order for the remainder of your life here on earth? It's a very good question. You are living right here, right now. And quite frankly, your future will be determined on the thoughts you're thinking right here and right now. Your present outlook on life is what you are presently looking at right here, right now, and will determine your future. For your now is an eternal now. Right now. The big change is not going to come when you physically pass, but rather how you are presently living in this now moment. Thus, may I suggest to you the importance of the following question. How will I know if I have put my things in order for myself now? How will I know if I have put my things in order for myself now? This is such a good question. The answer to the question will determine if you really do have your bags packed now. Yes, it will. The answer to this question will really, in a sense, not just help you to put things in order, but most of all, it will help you to put your present and future lives in order. So, how do you know if you have put your life in order yet? May I suggest the three following things? Here's the first one. Have you let go of your past? Have you let go of your past? It is such an important thing to realize and accept that you have participated in the past in the energy of separation, that you are no longer doing so. It's important that you have laid aside any guilt or any shame from the past and now realize that you have gotten your affairs in order, in the only order that really counts, and that is that you have spiritually realigned. This is the one and only order that really counts for your present time here on earth and for setting the tone of your future. Is that clear to you? The only thing that really counts is whether or not you have realigned, having set aside the game of separation and now living in your realignment at the present moment and for your future. Please realize that the separation experience was just that. It was a separation experience that you played with others. And even though others might still be playing it, even though others might still be playing it, you are not. You have realigned with your God Spirit. Your bags are no longer weighed down by the past. The second determination of having your affairs in order. The second determination of having your affairs in order is the acceptance of the truth. Is the acceptance of the truth that you are creating your reality. And in fact, that you've always been creating your reality, even when perhaps you did not know it. Let's delve into this notion of self-creation a little more fully. If I ask you the question, are you free to make up your own mind about things? I think all of you would say, well, of course I am. So if I were to ask you, does anyone control you? I surely think you would say, no, of course not. And to both of these questions, you would have answered correctly, because that's the way that God created you, in freedom. God did not create robots. Let me just say it again. God did not create robots. God created freely creating souls, just as it is He in whose image and likeness you are created. So would you now accept the fact that you are creating your own reality? There is no one in charge of you, that you are doing it all yourself. You're the one that is creating your reality. There's no one to blame. There's no one who is responsible for your actions. Now, you might not accept this fact, the fact that you are creating your life. And if you think this way, you'll continue to be an unconscious creator of your life, blaming others, not accepting full responsibility. You will play the role of victim. You will whine and blame others. But the fact of the matter is that you have given your freedom away. What you are free to do is just one more experience of the game of separation. Has the time not come for you to say, yes, I am creating the reality of my life by the choices I make? Yes, I am creating the reality of my life by the choices that I am making. There is a teaching. There is a teaching that the cosmic joke of life is the realization that you have always been creating the reality of your life, even when you thought that you were unconscious in playing the game of separation. Well, the cosmic joke is no longer on you. You know what you're doing. You have awakened from the dream of separation, and you now realize that you are in charge. You are in charge right here, right now, from now on. You are in charge of getting your affairs in order, of getting your affairs in order. With that, there's one very important thing now to consider, the third quality. The most important thing, the most important thing for getting your affairs in order right now and for your future. The most important thing. Now that you understand that you are creating your reality, the only further question is, are you creating your reality right here, right now? Are you creating your reality right here, right now, from love? It's the only real question. Now that you understand that the game of separation is over, that you are now creating your reality consciously, the only question is, are you now creating that reality from love? It's one thing to say, oh yes, I know I am creating my reality. But it's quite another to say, I am consciously creating my reality from love. That love is the creating energy of my reality. You see, creating reality from love is a choice. God created you free, might I remind you, not even with artificial intelligence, but real intelligence. And your freedom must now be seen as a choice. You are creating your reality freely from love. Isn't this what you have come to as an adult of God, a spiritual adult? This is our present goal. This is how you will determine if your affairs are really in order. This will determine if your bags are really packed securely. From now on, are you consciously creating your life from love? This is the only real question. Are you consciously creating your life from now on from love? The wonderful aspect of this teaching is that you have such an all-star lineup of supportive energy to inspire us to create out of love. First of all, we have that wonderful teaching from Jesus in A Course in Miracles. Teach only love, for that is what you are. It's the truth. You are the conscious energy of love, verified by Jesus again in the biblical passage, God is love. And the person that abides in love abides in God. And God is in that person as love, as God. And then if that's not enough, We have the support of group members of Now Creations, our spiritual friends, with whom we are presently meeting right at this moment, and with whom we join regularly during the week. The only factor yet to be determined, is whether or not you will choose love. All the time. Whether you will freely choose love, whether you will create the future of your life from now on in love. Perhaps the following will be some clues to your response. Some clues. First, do you have a vibrant spiritual practice from the time you awaken in the morning and that stimulates you throughout the day? It's a good clue. Secondly, did you stand in front of the mirror from last week's teaching? Did you stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eyes and say, I am the love of God in human form? Now, did you do that? Or did you do it and then quickly look away? Or did you do it and say, I really am the love of God in human form? Love is my causative energy. And third, I suggest to you a new mantra, perhaps maybe even your go-to phrase. I am the love of God in human form. I am the love of God in human form. This has been very helpful to me personally. I use it often, not just for a challenge, but to raise me up, to inspire me, to open myself to that love of God, which is what I am in human form. In conclusion, yes, of course it is important to put your affairs in order, and your family will very much appreciate it. But don't think that simply putting your affairs in order simply means wills, bank accounts, and funeral arrangements. The real point of today's teaching is putting yourself in order, both right here and from now on for your future. The only bag you really need to pack is yourself. That's the only thing you take with you. But it's really the only thing you have with you right now. And whether or not you're creating from love. And yes, of course, we will help each other to pack for the present moment and for the future. Of course we will. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Oh, there's a lot of thoughts that go through one's mind when you think about putting your affairs in order. Whew, there were a lot of things that went through my mind. It took me about a month just to get everything lined up. And I know how important that is, not only to be a relief from your own mind, but having dealt with many family members who did not have their things in order, what a help it will be for those who will take care of things for you. And just take a moment to reflect on that. That's important to do. But let's be clear. You're going to leave all of that stuff behind. You're not going to take any of it with you. So what's really important is what you will take with you. Putting yourself in order. Three big things. Enormous. Have you ended for yourself the game of separation? Living in the past. Living in the past when you and many with whom you associated were still unconscious. And yes, there are many people in your presence at the present moment who are still living from past energy. That's true. And it takes a while to understand how you have changed and how you might change the way you respond to those who are still in past energy. There are two things that are quite important in dealing in such relationships. The first one is you are not responsible for where they are, just as They are not responsible for where you are. It is their soul that is allowing them to have their experience as you are now having your experience. I'll say that again. This is so important. As you have moved from separation to realignment, dealing with those who have not is very important. So first, realize that neither you nor they are responsible for each other, but each is having your own soul experience. Which then brings me to the second point. Always love them. Always have love for them in your heart, knowing that each of you has been helpful for each other's growth. Which brings us to the second point. You are creating the reality of your life, but you never really have been or ever will create the reality of another person's life. It has been set by their soul, just as yours has been set by your soul. You are a free being. And you are freely creating your life by the continuing choices that you make. This is a universal law of the universe, the law of deliberative choice, presented in the Hicks's book, The Law of Attraction. It's the law of deliberative choice. You created it. Yes, of course, we did this in the past and in the present to assist each other in growth, as we will continue to assist each other in growth. At this time, we will not choose unconsciously. We will not choose unconsciously. A third element, we have realigned. We've done the work, and we're moving forward. The only substantial question left for each of us is, with this conscious awareness of freely understanding who you are, will you now choose solely from love? Will you just deal with life from here on from love? It is important that we know the principles teach only love, for that is what you are. God is love. But then it comes down to the everyday. When you do look yourself in the mirror and say, am I or am I not the love of God in human form that deals with my everyday situations? Am I or am I not ushering in the kingdom of God? Let's not make that so much of a cerebral question anymore. It's more of a heart question. What's in your heart? What's in your heart? Isn't your heart just ready to open? I mean, don't you just want to love everyone and get over whatever the past has held for you and get over what the past might still be holding for others? And would you not just step forward in love? But you have to prove this to yourself. You have to prove it to yourself. You know, stay the victim or move forward in love. See the difference. Know what is possible. And I would not be surprised if you right now just have that incredibly warm smile within you. You know who you are. You are the love of God in human form, bringing heaven to earth. I bet that smile has moved from the warmth in your heart to one on your face. I mean, my goodness, you know who you are and what you're doing. And yes, of course, we're doing this together. Of course. So with that thought in your mind, but especially with the feeling within your heart, let me invite you to return back to the rhythm of your breathing, just with a sense of renewed inspiration, bringing in the breath, happy to be in the breath of God, and joyfully opening your eyes. I mean, don't you just feel like saying, I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And yes, we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.